Make this official. The button. Thank you, thank you. Oh, wow. Today's going to be a great day. We got a great meeting planned for today, and of course, we're going to end in a very special way. But before we do, I want to remind everybody: there's taste, there's cake, there's cookies, there are refreshments here. Feel free to help yourself. Anything you don't eat, I will take home. Thank you. Thanks very much. So. But as is our tradition, we want to start off with hearing from our core partners and see if we've got any updates. So, Dawn, would you like to kick things off for us?
I would love to kick things off. First of all, happy birthday, Stacy. Stacy Mary, as I like to refer to her. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update. The difference between renters and landlord insurance. I've had some questions come up about this. So basically, renter's insurance covers contents, so that's whatever the renter's belongings are. It doesn't cover the building because they don't have any interest in the dwelling. Landlord insurance is just the opposite. It covers the building, but not contents. Usually when I quote a landlord policy, I will add $5,000 to $6,000 in contents in case they have lawnmowers, snow removal equipment, something like that, so it's covered if something happens to it. Renter's insurance also covers what they call loss of use. This is if the property gets damaged and the renter can't live in it while it's being repaired. This will pay for hotel rooms. It will pay for meals if they can't cook, groceries, gas if it's farther from the hotel to wherever they work. It also does the same for landlords, but it pays for the loss of rent because the renter's not in there. So it's coverage for both, but it's for different aspects, obviously. It also covers liability. So this would be if something happens and someone gets injured on the property and the landlord and the tenant's insurance will cover it. Say, for example, if it's snowy and somebody trips on the sidewalk, hurts themselves, it doesn't matter what the lease says as to who should be cleaning the sidewalk. It just comes down to somebody got hurt. There's two people there who have coverage that could be responsible. So both policies would pay. This is why it's important for you to encourage your landlords to have their renters obtain insurance, because if they don't, then all of that liability falls on the landlord. And obviously that could be a bigger expense for them. So if you're working with landlords, let them know whatever tenant you have in there, make sure they get their own renters insurance so it covers any liability, so they get sued, cover losses, things of that nature. That's really all I have. Like I said, we have some questions come up about what's the difference. Does anybody have any questions? Scott?
On a landlord policy, say the refrigerator dies in the building and all that, will that cover the refrigerator?
If you have a home warranty.
So
that would be a soft no, but if you have a warranty, because the warranties cover the heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and heating, or appliances and heating appliances. So yeah, the homeowner's insurance just covers the dwelling itself for things like the covered perils, lightning, fire, thunder, lightning, rain, windstorm, things of that. Anything to do with the appliances or the systems would be covered under the warranty.
Thank you.
I have a question. Is there, so when you quote a homeowner's policy, for example, you're probably quoting the minimum required amount of insurance to carry for that property. Or could that person, would there be a benefit to increasing the insurance policy? So for example, if they're required to carry replacement cost of $150,000, would there be any benefit to $180,000?
No, because what that situation could cause is them paying for insurance they can't use. So if the dwelling, in your example, is $150,000 and we insure it for $180,000, if there is a total loss, the insurance company is going to come out, they're going to do a replacement cost estimate. And if they say it's only going to cost $150,000 to rebuild it, that's all they're going to get. It doesn't matter what your coverage A on your policy is. That's not what you're going to get to rebuild your house. It's what the insurance company says it's going to cost to rebuild it. So they're paying that whole time, that extra $30,000 that they can't use.
Okay.
So yeah, good question. Yes. And we always, all the insurance companies that we quote with, they have a replacement cost estimator built into their websites. So we plug in like square footage, how many stories, the bathrooms, if they're builder's grade, if they're semi-custom, all of that type of crawl space or slab. And it automatically calculates an estimated amount. So that's what we base our coverage A off of.
And we always get emails from you asking us how old the roof is and the heating system and stuff like that.
Yes, and that's because the newer the systems, if it's an older house, say it was built in the 1950s, obviously some things would have been updated now,
right,
up to now. The newer the systems, the better the rate. a lot of my underwriters, if we have a 20-year-old roof and it's not in good condition, they're not going to insure it. So if you know of updates, and I know sometimes you guys are probably like, ugh, why do I have to find out how old the roof is or when the HVAC is replaced?
Yes.
It's to help your client get a better rate. And every time I send those
Every
emails,
time I
I'm
see
like,
that, I'm like,
so
oh,
sorry,
I don't know. I don't know.
And usually the inspector will say, oh, it's in its, second third of its life, or, they'll give you like a guesstimate.
Yeah.
So anything we can get is going to help your client's rate. Okay. How much it costs for that insurance. Marvell, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Renters insurance, does that include flood?
No, flood is always a separate policy.
Can a renter get flood?
Yep, they'll cover their contents.
The contents. Okay.
Yeah, so
Probably a lot less expensive.
Yes, quite a bit less
Yeah.
expensive. All we're trying is content. So yes, great question.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, thank you all.
Cool. Thanks, Don.
Good information.
Thank you.
Mr. Haug, how are things in the prosperity mortgage world, my friend?
They are about the same as last time. Always good. Everyone's good here. Again, happy birthday, Stacia.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day. All right. So I just got back yesterday, well, very late Monday night from the top producer trip for Prosperity. It was in Miami, so we had a really good time. So I appreciate you guys' flexibility. We're gone Friday through late Monday, so just got back in the swing of things. So, getting back to people yesterday and today. So thanks again for your flexibility there. Being at those trips is really cool because I get to talk to other people in the company who are producing at a pretty high level and talk about what they do. That's kind of the best part about it is just sharing best practices and stuff like that, just like you guys did in Charleston, that kind of thing. But one thing that they always roll out some new things to us as well at that meeting. And one thing I wanted to kind of discuss today is we'll be rolling out here shortly a 2-1 buy down that we think can really help people over the next period of time that we're in this higher rate environment. So if you've been in the business for a while, you know what a 2-1 buy down is. You've heard of it before. If not, we can kind of discuss it right now. A 2-1 buy down is a tool that reduces the interest rate over the first 2 years of a loan. So it's basically, you can have different types of buy downs. You can have a 1-1 buy down, you can have a 2-1, a 3-1 buy down. And so ours is going to be a 2-1 buy down. So a 2-1 buy down basically reduces your interest rate by 2 points for the first entire year, 1 point for the second year, and then it goes up to the note rate for the third and the rest of the years of the mortgage. So let's say that, for example, the note rate, meaning like the regular interest rate on the loan, is 6%, for example. Well, for the first, and this is, we'll talk about a couple of things here. So the first year, the payment will be based upon 4%. The second year, the payment will be based upon 5%. And then the third and rest of the years will be based on the note rate, 6%. Now, a couple of things. You have to qualify at the higher rate. You can't, so if you only qualify in a way where you only qualify at the 4 or the 5% payment, then it doesn't work. You have to qualify at that higher interest rate. But our thought is that it's a really good tool to kind of fight these, what we believe to be temporary high rates, at least in the middle to long-term temporary rates, and kind of just allow us to bridge that gap until we get to a point in which we can get those people refinanced, hopefully, or allow them to ease into that higher payment, theoretically, if they don't refinance. We don't know where rates are going to be in 2 years or 3 years. Honestly, no one really knows. No one thought we would be where we are today. You asked everybody last year at this time. But we do believe that rates just historically just don't stay high for a long period of time in this kind of environment. So we do think that a lot of supply chain issues will get worked out, will cause inflation to come down, it will cause the supply and demand to become more in balance. And we do think the rates will come back down to a lower level. So we're excited about that. So a couple things about the 2-1 buy down. Again, we're having a whole big rollout call tomorrow at 3 or 4 o'clock. I forget what time was, but I'll be able to share a little bit more details. Now, there's always a cost to a buy down. So similar to paying points, right? Just like you pay points for a lower interest rate, you're going to pay, you know, money for a 2-1 buy down. So we're going to get more details about what the cost will be for these buy downs. I can share that with you, you know, via email or next call whenever I get the information. I'm not sure if it's going to change depending on the product, if it's going to change depending on the day. I don't know if it's just a straight up, hey, this is the cost for everybody for a 2-1 buy down. I'm not sure yet. So I'll be able to definitely let you know about that. But I think it's going to really help. I think it's going to be something that can cushion the impact that we're having right now. So stay tuned. And that's something that I'm sure we're not the only companies to be rolling something like this out, by the way. But we hopefully want to be one of the first ones to roll it out. And we want you guys to be able to share that with your people. So we're doing everything we can to try to keep the momentum going in the market, keep you guys have buyers who are, you know, to get off the fence and get back on into the driver's seat or the passenger seat of your cars and get them out looking, who otherwise would have basically stopped because rates have kind of pushed them to a point where they're not comfortable with their payment anymore, right? So that's something that I wanted to discuss. Other than that, I mean,
It's working on it. Did we lose him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My phone just went out, so I went to computer audio. Sorry about that, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, sorry about that. Technical issue. So just rate-wise in general, we're still seeing that kind of trend of moving upwards. I'm watching rates on my other screen now. We've been seeing it for the last couple of weeks. You know, we're settling into rates that in the, you know, we're seeing 7s. You know, we're seeing 6s and 7s, and it's it is definitely jarring to some people as far as when the difference between payments that they were looking at even 2 months ago. But it's the good thing is now people are aware that rates are going up, and they're not surprised anymore as much as they were back in, let's say, May, June, when they it was kind of caught them by surprise. So most people that I've talked to are aware, like, hey, rates are going up. We know that. So it's not really a surprise. We try to have that conversation with people. One quick thing I wanted to note was that rates are attached to a application. So if your buyer, ratifies a contract and there's unsatisfactory home inspection or whatever, they don't like the HOA docs, and you terminate the contract or get a release, and the buyer is going to find a new, another property, that rate, even though maybe the rate lock is good for another 60 days because we locked in for 60 days, it doesn't translate to the new property because it's attached to that application specifically. So you have to start a new application when you get a new property address. So you have to cancel that initial application on a compliance and technical basis and then start fresh. Whatever the rates are at that time, whether they be better or worse, we have to go with the market. So that is part of that conversation of before you terminate the contract, make sure you have that conversation. Well, if rates have gone up by, 2% on this property, on a new property, you need to have that. We need to have that talk before you terminate. So anybody who's thinking about, canceling or terminating a contract, just make sure, like, hey, what are rates now as compared to what you were quoted for this property? Make sure that's part of the discussion, so they're not caught off guard when the new property we're looking at has a higher payment, even if it's a lower price because rates have gone up. Okay, makes sense. But yeah, other than that, the good thing about the higher rate environment, is that as far as underwriting goes, things are going through underwriting pretty quickly. So there's no delays in underwriting, which is great. Appraisals are coming back quicker than they ever have been. We're getting things done in a pretty quick time frame. That's a positive. So we can discuss that as a positive. And I do think that we are seeing some buyers who really haven't been able to purchase before finally be able to ratify contracts. Now, of course, ratifying contracts and the rate is a little bit higher than they'd like, but we're seeing closing cost assistance and price reductions. positive direction movement for the buyers, which I think is great. So all in all, we're going to do all that we can on our end. We're going to try to roll out some home equity line of credit products by the end of the year that are prosperity based. We're trying to do some more interest rate buy down things. We're going to try to roll out bridge loans. We're going to try to create products that can potentially create some deals that maybe didn't exist before. So you'll see some new things coming through to try to help throughout the rest of the year. So we're excited. They did roll out a new branding. Our new logo was announced over this last trip, and no one likes it. It's going to be interesting. So I'm curious to see how you guys like it. I don't know why they had to change it. The guy who did it said, "We think that the prosperity logo looks like the house is underwater," which I had never even thought of before. But if you look, there's like a line that goes through the logo. Anyway, you can tell me. So you guys will see it. You can tell me what you think when you see it. I don't want to. I've already biased your opinion of what I think, but anyway. So, thank you for your time. Does anyone have any questions at all?
I do.
Yep.
John.
Hey, Tina.
So if I purchase a property with a 2-1 buy down, and on year 2, I decide I've been dating the rate and I want to do a refi, is there going to be a prepayment penalty?
No.
Okay.
Great question. Yeah. So none of our programs carry a prepayment penalty. So even if you refinance within the first year, the second year, third year, as long as you've been in the house for 6 months, that's really the only, that's just a requirement for being on title of a property for 6 months. But yeah, there's never any prepayment penalty to refinance if rates drop down or if you want to pull cash out or whatever reason. So there's never any prepayment penalty, but obviously any refinance, there's a cost in a refinance. Hence why people don't refinance when rates drop by 1/8 or 1/4 or even 1/2 usually, because it's not worth it. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. So, I mean, there's not a prepayment penalty, but there's always a barrier to refinance generally. And that's just true for everybody. But yeah, good question. No prepayment penalty.
So something I saw recently was a written example of when you're negotiating on behalf of a buyer, for example, and your buyer, maybe you're going to ask for 3% price reduction. It may be more advantageous to use that 3% credit from the seller to buy down the rate.
Yep.
That's going to have a much larger impact on the monthly payment that the buyer will be subject to when they purchase the home. So that's something also to keep in mind. And I don't know, there's probably no set percentage about, it depends on where rates are as to how much those points cost, but it could be a lot more valuable to them to take a reduced rate versus a closing cost credit.
100%. I can't agree more. I think that if you're going to weigh those two things, I mean, for every, you reduce the price by $5,000, you're going to get maybe $25, maybe difference in their payment. You reduce if we can turn that into a rate buy down, either a permanent by paying points for the buy down for the life of the loan, or doing a 2-1 buy down, or a combination of both, then I mean that impact is much more. Now, I mean, what we don't want people to do is say, well, they need to be comfortable with that final payment, right? We don't want people to say, hey, well, focus on that new the lower payment that for the first 1 or 2 years. We don't want to get into a situation where they're stuck and there's an issue on that third year. But I still think it's going to be a huge benefit for clients if we can do it, as long as the cost is remotely affordable. And that's going to be the key. If the cost is ridiculous, then it's pointless to do. If it costs $8,000 and no one's going to do it. So I'm curious to see what the cost is going to be, because, I mean, lenders and every business, they don't want to lose. They don't want to lose money. So there's always going to be a point in which they're going to set the pricing to make it, to make sense for them. So again, I'll pass that on once I know more about what the general cost, and maybe it'll be a range. Maybe it'll be depending on the day. I'm not sure. So I'm very curious about that myself.
Thank you, John. Yep. All right, Mr. Brian McCarty, how are things at Sage Title Group, my friend?
Great. It's so nice to see everybody here. And
Welcome,
you have to be present to win the drawing.
That's
so sorry,
right.
everybody up on the
That's
screen.
right.
So
Yeah,
are
be
we gonna
present.
do? Go ahead.
No, I was just, you do it.
We're gonna do the wheel. So everybody here should be included in the wheel.
Yes.
We can do that in a minute. First, I want to pass out some payday bars for the
I'll help you.
agents who supported us.
All right.
Let's see, and we have a lot because capture rate was great, fantastic, amazing. Thank you. 80% last month.
Wow.
That's fantastic. 75% of the year to the year, so that's amazing. We'd like to finish at 80 if possible. Let's see, Shane is in the house.
Shane's in the house, yes.
Shane. Kelly Foster, I saw you
Kelly
up there on
Foster's on the
the screen.
screen.
Kelly Foster, I saw
Yeah.
Kelly up there.
We'll take Kelly.
Sharon, I saw you up there, and
Mom's up there. Thank you.
let's see,
Congratulations.
Ann had 2 paydays.
Yes, and
Let's see,
Ann
her right there.
Provenzano, not here
Yes,
today,
yes,
but
let's
she's
see.
collecting the paydays.
Scott is in the house.
Scott's in the house.
In the house.
Nice.
Scott, LaChamel,
Lachamel, he's not here, but
All right.
we'll hold it for him.
Marvella.
Those paydays.
Yes. Let's see. Do we have Vanessa?
She's not in.
She's not here,
She
but
had a
I'll hold
closing.
it for her.
That's
Yeah.
awesome,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Let's see, Jason had a closing.
Dang.
That's awesome.
Dang.
He likes those
Dang.
paydays.
Love my
Let's see
paydays.
here. Anyone else
Have a closing,
in the room
Last-
today?
couple of weeks.
All
No?
right, so we want to give this one to Stacia for her birthday.
That's right. That's
And a keychain. On a serious note, though, we are having another CEPLE class next Wednesday. It's going to be on Virginia decedent mistakes,
Yes.
2 hours. All you have to do is click on, Stacia sent it out already. You just click on to register. Please don't call me. It's going to be Wednesday at 1. Please don't call me at 1:05 saying, how do I get
I
on?
can't get
Because
in.
I can't even look at my phone because I'm not being audited for this class. So register today if you can. It's going to be a great class. Questions come up on this all the time.
Yeah.
Who can sign the contract? Do I have to do this? What happens when? And we've got Matt Lynch, who does a great, fantastic job of explaining anything you want to talk about. So we want to continue to roll out these classes and provide free CLAPL. Let's see here. Let's do the drawing. Did anybody have any questions, comments, criticisms? If not here, you can always email me, text me, send a smoke signal, whichever works.
Cool. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's roll the dice.
Who feels lucky?
Who's the lucky winner? Drum roll, please.
I waited this time.
Thank you. Thank you. I was not ready last time. Looks like Holly. Holly got the big
Holly,
money.
thank you so much. Appreciate your support.
Come on.
Holly.
You knew you were gonna win, didn't you?
See?
Very
I said my
cool.
spinning balls, I got into the screen and all of a sudden it just spun and I was like, well, see.
All right, guys, I'm gonna share my screen. I got a few things I want to talk about. Hopefully you'll find them valuable. And then we'll get right into the reason we're all here, which is our Be Kind Recipient Award. So before we do that, I want to show you a couple of things. And so following, obviously you guys have probably seen this, comes out from RAIN every month. I think this is further evidence that we are in a transitioning market, right? Just about everything is headed the wrong way right now. Active listings down 8, settled sales down 23%, pending sales down 23%, and new construction. This one continues to surprise me because everywhere I look, I see new construction. But the facts are, it's down. However, year-over-year home prices are still up 5.8%, which is pretty interesting. But I think it's a reflection of, our long-standing low inventory environment. The buyers are still competing to win those properties. So although it's gotten less competitive, they're still out there. They're still having to fight for it. So definitely in a transitioning market. So it says September 2022 median sale price now $310,000. That's one of the things that we've seen in the last 2 years is our average sale price just continues to tick up and up and up, which is, it's kind of cool on one hand, but on the other hand, that what you're really seeing is the exclusion of a lot of buyers, right? Our buyer pool is shrinking as the prices continue to increase, as the interest rates continue to increase. The number of people that can afford a property is getting smaller and smaller. So with that in mind, it's ever more important that we remind our audience, our sphere of influence, who we are and what we do. And so I want to give you a couple of examples of ways that people are currently doing that. So one is the item of value letter. And so you guys see this, it comes out from Boomer every month. And so some of you have taken it upon yourselves to actually use it in a way that I think can be super beneficial. But I wanted to remind you that it's not just a letter, it's also social media. It's something that you can post and share and tag and hashtag, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, hashtagging. Who doesn't love hashtagging? This is an example of the way Randall, thank you, Randall. But this is a way that he uses this letter. And so he literally prints it out and, puts it in an envelope and puts a stamp on it and mails it to his sphere of influence. So I'm trying to shrink it right now. But I just think that's a really, really smart idea. And if I'm not mistaken, this month he bought coupons from Wendy's for free Frosties and included in his item of value letter. And you can buy those coupons 5 for $1, right? So 5 for $1, what a cool way to offer something of value to your audience, to remind them that you're in real estate. And if they have real estate questions, you have real estate answers. There we go. So that's what it looks like. And I just think it's really, really, really smart. So kudos to you, Randall, for doing that. I think it's great. Yeah. Very good idea. Also want to remind you guys too that we have these reminders to not necessarily to our clients, but it could be to our clients. So I brought these home with me last week from the manager meeting. And so there are some handouts up here. You're welcome to help yourself. But this is a breakdown of the Long and Foster tools that are in place to help buy a property, to help your buyers buy a property. And then we have this one. These are the Long and Foster tools that are available for you to help you sell a property. So sometimes we become overwhelmed with the amount of technology and tools and things that are being thrown at us every day, right? But so they've taken the time to put this in some orderly format so that we can just check it off. Did I do that? Did I think about that? Did I look at that? Check it off, check it off. And then this is kind of a summary of the process to help your buyers and sellers. Whether it's social media, whether it's a Moxie campaign, whether it's, writing the contract. So pretty cool handouts that you guys are welcome to pick up. I'll leave them scattered about. And
one question.
Yes.
New construction is down. Does that mean they're sitting on the market or?
I don't think we're seeing a lot of spec homes being built. I think we're seeing a lot of sold homes being built. Now somebody else might have more information on that, but the homes that we're getting contracts for, obviously new construction are obviously under contract already. So I haven't seen any new subdivisions being built on spec. That would be a hell of a risk for a builder to take. So I don't think they're sitting on the market. Yeah.
Because it just said the sales were down. So.
And we've seen some buyers disqualify as a result, because it takes 3 months sometimes to build a house. and they'd lose the ability to qualify, whether it was a job change or what have you. So that's super scary.
We're getting selling bonuses for their current inventory in most developments in this area.
Good question. And then, of course, this is happening this afternoon at 3 o'clock. I want to encourage you guys to get on this 3 o'clock webinar. TLC is Turnkey Listing Concierge. It's a new product to us in Hampton Roads. They've been using it, this partnership with Curbio up in the northern regions of Virginia and DC, Maryland, that area. And story says it's really, really good. And so we're excited to be able to announce today, he's going to announce that it's now available in Hampton Roads. And if you're not familiar with it at all, Curbio they do a lot of advertising. You probably see them on your Facebook screen. Yeah. But basically, with the partnership we've got with them and Long & Foster, there's no repair too small nor too large that Curbio won't take on. They'll manage the entire project, make all of the repairs and or renovations, including staging, carpet, things like that we don't normally associate with a contractor necessarily. And they won't bill the client until closing, and it's interest-free. So, you know, there are some competitors of ours that have similar products, but they have caps on the amount that they're willing to invest in a property that's not yet sold. And through our affiliation, they're not putting a cap on it. So could be a really, really good opportunity for those homes that need a fresh coat of paint, some new flooring, an updated bathroom, updated kitchen, that sort of thing. Could be a really good opportunity to help your client. It's just another way that you can show value as a realtor, agent, person. So make sure you check that out. You're going to start to see more and more marketing materials. They're already available. I shared them on our private Facebook group. If you guys saw it the other day, they have social media graphics, they have flyers, they have all this cool stuff so that you can begin to promote this to your audience and let people know that, hey, we can help you, you know, freshen up or renovate your home.
So will it be taken out at closing?
Yes. Yeah, it comes out of the net equity. So what they do is they determine, and you as the realtor will determine what that net equity looks like, and they'll take out up to 80%. And so they're willing to, you know, they're going to leave 20% in the house, but they're going to take out up to 80% of the net equity to make these repairs. So it could be 5,000, could be 50,000, based on the equity in the home. Oh. Cool.
It's been flooding my Facebook timeline.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Bear with me. Any questions or anything on that while I'm trying to figure out where to go? So we need some of that that music right now. That, you know. Yeah. All right. The reason we're all here today is to remember and honor our friend Soren. And so crazy, right? So I want to show you this one picture, which kind of stuck in our hearts and was the reason for our day today, being referred to as Be Kind. And so if you'll bear with me here, I'm going to find that picture of him in his Be Kind shirt. And so you guys remember, this is Soren. I wrote some words to share with you guys, just so I wouldn't forget. And so if I trip over myself, forgive me. But first of all, thank you guys for being here, obviously in person and on Zoom. It means a lot to us that you participate in anything that we put on and that we do. Thank you everyone, especially who took the time to nominate one of your fellow coworkers. That was really, really cool. So as most of you know, we lost a dear friend and coworker 1 year ago on October 8th. And Soren was the life of any party, as evidenced by those pictures that we can scroll through. But he was funny. He was fun to be around. His costumes were always the most ridiculous. as was his need to provide unmatched service to his clients. Everyone who knew him loved him without fail. Just a really, really good guy who will be missed forever. And so it was in his honor that we decided to create a Be Kind award as a way of never forgetting our friend and honoring those of you who display some of the same characteristics and qualities that you might think of when you hear the term be kind. Someone who is caring, generous, willing to help, and always willing to go above and beyond in the service of others. I think that's the perfect description of Soren. So I'm so proud too to say that we had a lot of nominations, which is really amazing. We had a lot of nominations for the Be Kind honor, which I see as a direct reflection of each of you and all of you. I think it's just amazing that you would take the time to do that and that you think so much of one another. It really speaks to who we are as a crew. As you might expect, Stacia got a lot of votes. So
I did, I turned it down.
So thank you, Stacia, as always, whose birthday it is today. Happy birthday again.
Yes, thank you.
But since neither Stacia nor myself were eligible for this honor, we were able to narrow it down to the agent/realtor with the most nominations. Did I say slash?
Yes. You're reading it word for word.
I am so proud and honored to let you know that the person as this year's first annual Be Kind recipient is
Evelyn Stuck.
Evelyn Stuck.
Go up. I don't have her name yet. Here's the award for the.
Unfortunately, Evelyn couldn't be with us today, but she is an absolute sweetheart. I think we can all agree on that. And while we had a lot of nominations, Evelyn is the recipient this year. So I wish she was here to share it with us.
And this is actually going to hang up up front, kind of like where those old award
behind the duty desk.
Up used to go.
Yeah.
So that's her. So
cool. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. The end.
Go eat.
Let's eat, you guys. Let's eat. So, if I know some people came in a little bit later. Tina, would you come up just for a sec? So
sure.
Everybody should know that this is Tina Holt. She's the regional VP for Long and Foster. She covers all of the Hampton Roads region. And so she's the one that I report to directly. And I just want to thank you for being here. Yeah. So, and this is our crew. So, yeah. So feel free to get her cell phone number if you want to, complain about me or something.
Call station.
Call station. That's right. Call station. Yeah, please.
I wanted to share one thing with you guys that I've been sharing with my offices and then offices that I kind of lead from a regional position. I always consider this time of year, New Year's, in this business, just because I'll always be an agent at heart. I've sold for so many years that that's just who I am to my core. We're in a challenging time. We all know that, but it's still a great market. It really is. And Jason's bringing you, as well as your core partners, such good information that's going to set you apart from the competition. What do I mean by that? There are agents that have no idea what a 2-1 buy down is. I did those things for years in the 90s. It set me apart because a lot of my competition had no idea what a 2-1 buy down is. They didn't know what a 5-1 arm is. You need to know about assumables. I know that really doesn't affect prosperity because it's between the servicer and the buyer. But there's another pool of buyers we could be tapping into if we just knew about assumables. That buyer that got knocked out of the 350 range and is now at the 275 range could go back to 350 if they could assume that 2.5 to 3% interest rate, right? So we are working really hard to bring you things like this, and Jason does a phenomenal job with that. I'm so impressed with his leadership, and you're very, very lucky to be with him. And we appreciate the fact that you're here because we understand you have options of where you can hang your license. So do we. But we choose to be here. We're glad that you do too. But the other piece to that about the new year is a lot of times, especially as we're in a transitional market, a lot of times agents will find an excuse to sit back and say, well, you know, the holidays are coming up and it's going to be Thanksgiving, it's Christmas is coming, people aren't going to want to put their house on the market. Don't lie to yourself, that's not true. And if you let your foot off the gas now and say, you know what, I'll worry about that come January, you're not going to get another check until March. That's 6 months from now. So I always had these things. I always had a killer December and January, more than anyone else that I worked with. And the reason was I knew a lot of the agents were going to take their foot off the accelerator come October 1. That's not what I did. It was to the floor. So I just want to say we're here to help you with these things and help you get set apart from the competition and end with a great year and start with an even greater year. So once again, thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to be with you. And I look forward to meeting some of you that I don't yet know.
Thank you. All right, gang, we wish you were here to partake in the cake, but you're not.
You can deliver.
Come on down to Florida, deliver down here.
Right.
Give it to your husband, he can bring it Friday.
We'll put it in the mail.
Bye, gang.
Thank you, guys. Bye. Thank you.